So you may notice that I'm not actually recording any of this series at all in the gym. And one of the reasons that I'm doing that is for the exact same reason that we're here today to talk about developing a winning mindset. So before we get into that, I'm going to roll the clips from the final week of my heavy training. Just gone, went pretty well, so let's watch it. So as you can see, squat 245 again, moved much better than last week. I'll throw a comparison on the screen, but yeah, I'm super happy with that because kind of in my head after the 245 the previous week, it moved way slower than anticipated and it had me having a little bit of self-doubt. So coming into that session, I did want to ensure that I removed any doubt from my mind that I could squat that easier and I could potentially squat more in competition. One of the big things that went into that was self-talk and visualization. When it does come to coming into your training session, the way you're talking to yourself and even the belief about what that session is going to reveal can say a lot about how your performance is going to go. If you go into the gym expecting a bad session, you're probably going to get a bad session. If you go into the gym expecting a good session, you're more likely going to have a better one. So the way we kind of talk to ourselves and the thoughts we have leading into our training sessions can make all the difference, especially when you are in the moment of going through your warm-ups in the gym. So when I went to the gym last Sunday to perform my heaviest squat, what I was doing in that actual session was trying to go through some visualization as well as going through some positive self-talk to allow me to get into a better mindset and to also have some degree of an effect on how my body was going to perform. And it is very interesting because while this stuff seems very woo-woo and it's like how the fuck does how you talk to yourself influence how you're going to perform, there have been a good few studies that have looked at the exact phenomena of self-talk and visualization to improve performance in strength training. So one of the reasons why I haven't been filming myself in the gym the way I was in previous videos where I was going through the sessions mic'd up is I want to ensure that I'm keeping engaged at the task at hand. So anytime I'm going into the gym and I'm about to squat something heavy, I am trying to think about that specific task. Before I get to the gym, it's on my brain. I'm trying to walk myself through how I'm going to warm up for that lift, how the weight is going to feel on my back. The more vivid you can make it, so even thinking about trying to look at it through like a first person lens as opposed to looking at yourself from like an outer body experience, that can help to improve the visualization process, right? Because you're trying to see it through your own eyes. You're putting the plates in the bar, you're getting the bar ready in the rack, you're bringing yourself underneath the bar, you feel the heavy weight of the bar on your back, you're taking your brace in, you're going down into the hole, and then you're straining through that hard sticking point, and you're really trying to think about, okay, positionally, what was my body doing when I was trying to strain through that sticking point? And then you succeed in lift. And now you've went through this process so many times in your head, and I don't want to say that you're manifesting it, right? Because when it does come to visualization, what you're trying to visualize is something that is within the realms of your capabilities. I am not going to go into the gym and having visualized myself done a 300 kilo squat when I have only squatted 50 kilos below that. It's unlikely to happen. But when we think about using the likes of visual imagery and using the likes of like positive self-talk, it always has to be things that are also within the realms of possibility within that kind of context, okay? Because the degree to which the mental kind of situation can make a difference, like we're talking a couple of percent here. We're not talking about like, extra 25, 50% of increase onto your lifts. But when you get to the sticking point in a lift, for example, how you have thought about that sticking point in your head, the kind of positive self-talk that you went through before that set can make all the difference to how you actually push through that, or you don't push through it and you miss the lift. And that is where the self-talk can also come in really, really well. So in between your sets, when you're doing your warm-ups, what are you telling yourself? That felt good, that felt light, that felt as expected. Or, oh, this is feeling a little bit heavy today. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to go up to my top set. And yes, look, Look, there will be a time when the reality of the situation is that you are just not really in a good spot on that day to perform that lift for whatever kind of recovery factors that are going on in the background. However, going into sets with a positive attitude and having that positive self-talk with the mindset that you can overcome that weight is going to serve you much better than not having that positive self-talk and be like, oh, I don't really know if I can do this, or my sticking point is always X, I always fail here. How about we just not consider your sticking point during a session, and we just think about processing the image of you extending your elbows on the bench press, of you making true the sticking point on your squat, of you breaking past your knees on the deadlift. If you can just think about that specific moment, your performance is probably going to increase and you're probably going to have a better session on that day. And look, we've all heard our favorite athletes go through these processes or talk about them. You know, we have the classic Ronnie Coleman. And then you also have athletes in other sports, the likes of Michael Jordan, the likes of Tiger Woods. A lot of athletes, you know, using the likes of this mental imagery, this positive self-talk to allow themselves to perform at a higher level. When it does come to the likes of competing at high level sports, everybody's going to be really, really good. Everybody is going to be strong. Everybody's going to have a great physique for bodybuilding. Everybody is going to be mega talented at their sport. But what often separates the people who are at the very top from the people who are at number 2, number 3 to number 10 and down below is generally going to be what's going on upstairs. Do they have the ability in their mindset to unlock that extra bit of potential? They're probably not looking at number 2 and number 3, but number 2 and number 3 could be looking at number 1. And that could be the difference between why they are not number 1 and why they're number 2 and why they're number 3. When it comes to the likes of this positive self-talk and this positive mental imagery, it's not necessarily going to always work for every single person. And a lot of this comes down to how they see themselves in the world, their sense of self, and what type of things make up why they are there in the first place trying to achieve that specific task. So when I think about myself and I'm going in to squat this heavy weight, I am going in with the intent that I really enjoy this sport. Lifting makes me feel amazing. It has done many good things for me. I like the feeling of overcoming the challenge of squatting a heavy weight. I have the confidence that I'm able to actually execute on the lift that I'm about to do, and the actual act of lifting makes me feel like I have some degree of connectivity to the other people that are around me that I'm training, for example, okay? It gives me some kind of sense of purpose, for example, okay? Now, if you are somebody who is in a different camp and you're trying to execute on this positive self-talk and this positive mental imagery, but you cannot relate to some of those aspects that I just mentioned there, it may be a lot harder. So when we look at this theory called self-determination theory, and we have these 3 aspects, it's called autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Autonomy essentially is your ability to be in control of your own actions. And when we think of this, we can think about the likes of intrinsic motivation. Are you doing this task because you want to actually engage in this task? Or are you doing it because you feel that it's something that you should do to please somebody else, which would be a form of extrinsic motivation? And because of that, you have a low sense of autonomy because you don't necessarily want to do this, but it's something that you feel you should be doing, so you don't really feel as if you have much of a choice to be doing it. Or you could be coerced into doing this powerlifting meet, for example, by a coach. You don't want to really compete right now, you don't feel ready, it doesn't really fit in with where your life circumstances at the moment, but they're pushing you to do this competition. That would also be another case of low autonomy in the equation of you having lifting as a goal. Then when we also look at the likes of competence is, do you feel that you have mastery to actually execute on the task that you're going to do? Example, in the powerlifting context, if you don't feel proficient at your squat, bench and deadlift, how are you going to feel confident to compete? And that is going to affect the likes of you going into your training sessions for that actual meet, to prepare for it, to lift the heavy loads that you need to perform on the platform. You'll start to feel anxious. You won't be able to go in and have that positive self-talk because you'll be thinking, I'm not good enough, I can't do this squat, I can't lift that heavy. Or relative to the field, you're thinking about the person that you're going to be competing against. You're going to be comparing yourself to the people in the sport for the last 10 years. Or with the likes of relatedness. Oh, these people I'm training with, they're not like me. My coach, I don't really kind of get on with them. There's lots of different factors here within this kind of scenario. All of this can affect your ability to have this kind of positive self-talk and your ability to have this positive mental imagery. Now, that is going a little bit deeper than I kind of want to go in this video, because when it comes to the case where you are not able to engage in the likes of positive self-talk or the case of mental imagery, well, that comes back to that kind of three-pronged scenario of autonomy, competence, and relatedness, and you have to determine where those are in relation to your goals and where you can potentially improve, or how you need to fit that within your kind of value system, your goal system, and see if the goals that you're looking to actually achieve, like, are they mainly going to be made up of extrinsic motivators? Do you feel like you're just pushed to do them, or do you actually want to do them? And if it's the case that it's something that you actually want to do, but you still feel a little bit low in any of those three, well, there could be a case that you change coaches or change your gym. It could be a case that just doing that helps you improve your confidence because now you're getting better coaching. Maybe that coach gives you a little bit more autonomy in your training, and they allow you to make a little bit more of the decision making. It's more of a collaborative process, and they are essentially guiding you but educating you along the way. And all of those things can help to increase your autonomy, your confidence, and relatedness. And then when those things improve, well, because you start to get confident, you are able to then engage in more positive self-talk, because you have more positive outlook, because you're succeeding more often. If you feel like things have not been going your way in regards to lifting, it's very difficult for you to dig into your memory bank and think about the successes. The more successes you have, the more evidence you have that you are living up to the expectations that you have of yourself. So there are a lot of contributors to somebody's success that are outside of just the physical capabilities. There is so much that you can do within your mindset. I don't think I am. I know I'm not the strongest person in the world, nor do I think I am really talented in any certain regard. However, from being engaged in training for as long as I have this huge bank of successes over the years that are essentially my kind of motivation, and they also serve for me as fuel for the fire for when motivation is low. So this is my intrinsic motivation. I am doing this for me because I enjoy it, and because I like to see how far I can push myself, or how I can essentially make myself do stuff when maybe I don't want to do it, or how I can overcome these massive challenges. It's not necessarily to beat the next guy, it's simply just to prove to myself that I am capable. And off the back of that, if positive things happen that are external, fantastic. If they don't, I'll at least know that I showed up every single moment trying to be my best in that given situation. So I'm going to try to wrap this video up here now. It's been a bit more of a vague one. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Hopefully you're taking something away for it. Hopefully you are leaving with a little bit of an idea as to how to have a little bit more belief in yourself, and if not, how to triage a situation to make sure you do start believing in yourself a little bit more, to become a better athlete, to become a better person, but more importantly, to lift heavy things. So that's it. Thanks for following along, and we'll chat soon.